Negative traits of your future spouse, Scorpio. What are some negative traits of your future spouse? Scorpio, your future spouse could be a little verbally abusive, okay? Something about their communication when they speak, it's a little abusive or, rude. It comes off very rude, okay? Maybe your future spouse has trouble with communication, but it's just more so when they could talk to people, okay? It could be kind of aggressive even, okay? It looks like your future spouse, a negative trait of theirs is to kind of let what has happened to them, like, define them and defeat them, okay? They kind of let what has happened to them take over them, okay? Instead of finding some type of healing, they will, like their negative trait is just to kind of walk around carrying their burdens or the things that has happened to them or the people that have backstabbed them and hurt them in some type of way. They like to carry it on instead of healing, okay? They let their past or what they've been through defeat them. They don't try to find a way to defeat it, which means go get healing, okay? And that's a negative trait of theirs, just to kind of carry on all the burdens and things that they've been through in life instead of finding some way of healing or even acknowledging. They'll just kind of carry it on and maybe even project onto others, something like that. Your future spouse could also be on their phone a lot, okay? They could always be on social media, scrolling, always on the internet in general, maybe always talking on the phone. Your future spouse may be somebody who's kind of always in their phone, okay? That's more so the negative aspect, just the fact that they're always on their phone or in their phone, okay? They could have trouble even like engaging in conversations and things with other people because they're always like on their phone or just talking to someone, okay? Maybe they just have some type of obsession with the phone, okay? Or, this could be somebody who's like I said, within communication, this could be somebody who expressed themselves through text or maybe even throw shots over the internet, over line, over social media, instead of like speaking directly with someone and hashing things out, something like that. It's like your future spouse though has a problem when it comes to the phone, okay? Whether this is like always using their phone or the way they communicate is through phone. And that could be negative because sometimes you got to see people face to face, or you got to, really talk it out to see where the other person is coming from. But this person could like to communicate through, even when it comes to business, maybe the person wants to communicate everything through phone instead of like in person, okay? Negative traits of Scorpio's future spouse. And it's something about your future spouse letting everything kind of defeat them. Like they just have a hard time, or they just easily get defeated, okay? So your future spouse could be somebody who's like, not very confident in a way. And that may be a negative trait there because it's like they kind of let everything, any little thing defeat them, okay? They don't try to maybe even get back up or get in the game, get their head in the game. It's like as soon as something doesn't work out, they feel like they lost or they're now defeated, okay? Instead of like kind of getting their self back up and trying it again or keeping their head in the game or playing to lose. They kind of just give up and they let every little thing defeat them, something like that. What's a negative trait of Scorpio's future spouse? They could always have their hand out, okay? Scorpio, your future spouse always kind of your future spouse is definitely a receiver, kind of always wanting someone to give them something, gift them something, even give them money even, okay? Your future spouse always has their hand out, and that's a negative trait there. They always expect something from somebody else. They always expect somebody to give them something, okay? Your future spouse could literally beg a lot as well. Okay, they like to, beg for someone to give them something. They like for people to give them something. They like to be on the receiver end, and it makes it negative because this person could, always have their hand out, or it's just the simple fact that they are more of a receiver than they do any giving at all. So they kind of don't have any balance there. They're more of a receiver and they never want to give, and that's the part that where it's negative. Okay, they don't have the balance, or they're too much of a giver, something like that. They're too much of the receiver. Your future spouse could also put money on a pedestal. Let's say your future spouse, negative trait of theirs is putting money on a pedestal. Okay, so they can even put money above a lot of things. Okay, even other things that may be important or need their attention. It's just like it's all about money. They always prioritizing money. Okay, and that is a negative trait of your future spouse. Like, you should never be idolizing anything in this world, right? And to always make money a priority. For one, you're idolizing it. Two, there's other things again in life that requires you to be making a priority, or that needs your attention, or that you're supposed to be giving your time and energy to as well, not just money, okay, and material things. And this could be money and material things. Future spouse just puts material gains, money, above everything else, or they make it the most important thing to the point they neglect other things. Okay, and that's their negative trait of theirs. Your future spouse could also take a long time, or sit on opportunities even. They take a long time to grab opportunities, or they sit on opportunities, and that's a negative trait of theirs, because they could have great financial opportunities even, or just opportunities in general come their way, but they will sit on it. They won't make a decision on it. They will maybe just pass it by. Okay, or they'll just sit on it is more so what I'm getting. Maybe they take a long time to contemplate. Okay, maybe they maybe they can move slow at times. But especially in terms of opportunities, financial opportunities, your future spouse has a habit of sitting on opportunities that they know could make them money, that could further their future, make them successful, prosperous in some type of way. They rather sit on it, or just even rather sitting on their ass. They don't, they could have opportunities presented to them, opportunities right in front of their face, but again, they will sit on them. They will stall. Okay, or they'll let it just pass them by. Your future spouse negative trait is really missing out on opportunities. They don't care to lose out on. It's almost like losing out on money, because I'm getting these are more so financial opportunities, just opportunities that can advance their life or financially secure them, make them prosperous in some way, and they would literally miss out on. It's like missing out on money. That's what I'm just getting. Your future spouse will literally miss out on money, or miss out on opportunities that could change their life. This could even be relationships or opportunities, other people or opportunities. Take out resumes, but it's just get where I'm going. Your future spouse will miss out, pass up, stall on opportunities that can better them in some way, that can change their life or financially secure them in some type of way. Your future spouse could be a little lazy, okay? Not gonna lie. Your future spouse could be someone who kind of just likes to lay around, okay? Like I said, this is part of kind of why they miss their opportunities. Your future spouse just has the habit of kind of laying around, maybe being unproductive at times. Okay, that's the word. When your future spouse definitely could be a little unproductive at times. Like I said, with the Ten of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles here, your future spouse will literally lay around and sleep on an opportunity that could be right in front of their face, or that has been presented to them, but it's just giving they're a little bit unproductive at times. They could be lazy, that's a reach, but it could be that as well too. Something about them, kind of sitting around, always laying around, kind of always on their phone, or I'm even getting like disassociation. Your future spouse could deal with like disassociation, and it's more so like your future spouse may really try to ignore things. Is also what I'm getting. They try to like disassociate things as a way to ignore, like they have some type of I don't know, I'm just getting disassociation. Your future spouse negative trait is there's disassociation. Sometimes they just are not there, okay? Like mentally they're not there, okay? And I really feel like they could do that because they don't want to address something even, okay? They don't want to address the elephant in the room. They don't want to get up and do anything, make something out of themselves. They don't want to take opportunities. Something about them not wanting to face reality, and they kind of do whatever so they don't have to face reality. So it's like they disassociate so they don't have to like acknowledge the things they have to do, okay? I hope that makes sense. You know, disassociate before they will acknowledge something like that, okay? Let's get a few more negative traits of Scorpio's future spouse. What are some negative traits? Your future spouse could be very, as I said, that non-disclosed. I feel like that's kind of related to what I just said. But yeah, this is definitely giving your future spouse is definitely secretive, okay? You know, they could definitely hide things, okay? But we're gonna say secretive. Your future spouse is definitely secretive. They don't tell much. They could keep a lot of things hidden, a lot of things, you know, keep a lot of things close to them, close to their heart, but they won't tell much. They're very secretive. They're all their secrets and things. They definitely keep it hidden, okay? So it's like even if they did have a secret, you more than likely would not know, Scorpio, okay? Because they're very secretive. They do not tell much, okay? And it's like and this is negative because it's things that they maybe need to tell, okay? It's things that needs to be exposed, spoken up about. Even if this has to do, even if it's as simple as them having to tell a secret that has happened to them to help them heal from it. But something about, you know, and that's what makes it negative. They just won't open up, or they're very secretive about certain things, and that's a negative trait of your future spouse. Which means if they are doing something that is negative in itself, you would not know because they're secretive, okay? What's a negative trait of Scorpio's future spouse? Yes, with appointment here, your future spouse does not, like I said, something about healing, right? So this is making very much sense. Your future spouse, negative trait of theirs is for one, like I said, it's like they do not want to do the work, you know, when it comes to like healing and getting themselves back up, getting themselves out of a dark place. They do not want to do the healing. They rather sit in it, soak in it, maybe even play the victim, but they will not do the healing. And that's what I'm getting with appointment here. Your future spouse may actually neglect their health in general, okay? This is your future spouse is somebody who could neglect their health in a mental sense, okay, in their actual physical body is what I'm getting with appointment here. Your future spouse neglects their health, okay, and that's a negative trait that, or they don't prioritize it. They don't make it something that needs to be a, you know, they don't make it a responsibility. They don't make it a priority to make sure that they're healthy mentally, emotionally, physically, okay? Spiritually even. Take it how it resonates, but your future spouse does not take the time to make sure that they're healthy, that they are good, you know, that they're good themselves to go out into the world, something like that. Yeah, it's like your future spouse won't make appointments and do what they gotta do to, you know, fix their health or to make sure they are healthy, making sure they're staying up on their health. They don't do that. So you might even find yourself having to make sure your future spouse stays up on their health and things like that. Okay, and so that's another thing traded there. They don't want to get checked out. They don't want to make sure they're good health-wise, and that could literally be, you know, detrimental to their health, and that's why that's a negative trait of theirs. Your future spouse also with appointment here, your future spouse could have a hard time with like time management or planning even, okay? So your future spouse could be kind of impulsive, or they could be kind of impulsive, or they don't think ahead, something like that, because your future spouse may even like miss out on appointments. Your future, because it's like your future, with the appointment here, it's like your future spouse doesn't plan well, or they don't think ahead, okay? And I just want to add, it could possibly even be time management skill, okay? That's a negative trait. There's something they need to work on. They could wait till the last minute, or they're very impulsive. They just kind of up and do things. They don't really plan ahead of time, or they're never really on time even. They could have trouble with time management skills, okay? Their time management skills. They may show up late, may not show up at all, don't schedule things, don't plan ahead, okay? They just kind of up and go off the spur of the moment type of person. That's a negative trait. There's some things, need to be planned out. You need to be setting times. You need to be getting there on time. You need to be planning ahead of time. Something like that. Negative traits of Scorpio's future spouse. Yeah, I said this give and receive came out. Didn't I say something about your future spouse always want people to give to them? They're more of a receiver, okay? They like to receive. They like to beg even. They always got their hand out, something like that. And with give and receive, it's just double confirmation. Your future spouse has trouble. Your future spouse has trouble with giving and receiving, or they have trouble with at least being in a giving mode. They are more of a receiver, and they don't have that balance there, okay? They are not the type that's going to maybe give. They're going to always be wanting someone to give to them. They're going to be always having their hand out, waiting for you or someone to give them something. And that's a negative trait of future spouse, because we all got to have that balance there, okay? Some though, your future spouse could be both, right? Well, I'm sorry. For some, I'm getting there's no balance there. They're always in one or the other. So some of you guys, they could be more of a giver, okay? So I do want to add that they definitely don't have a balance there, but they could be more than the other. I am getting some of you guys, they're more of a giver, okay? But they could give too much, okay? And when people give too much, that's when it becomes negative, okay? Because now your future spouse is such a giver, and people take advantage of them. And, they're always just trying to give to people. Like, your future spouse could even be a people pleaser. They're always trying to give to other people, always gifting other people, always giving other people money, always giving people their money, time, their energy, their resources, maybe even having to sacrifice at times, their own situation just to give, okay? So some of you guys, I want to say half of you guys, your future spouse is more of a giver. Others of you guys, your future spouse is more of a receiver. So let's say regardless, the negative trait here, your future spouse doesn't have a balance there, okay? They either over give or they over receive, and they don't know how to have that balance, and they're too much in one or the other, okay? And it's just negative because, you got to have that balance. You also need to make sure who you're giving to, who you're receiving from, okay? But more so who you're giving to, okay? You don't want to just be out here giving to everybody. Again, they take advantage, or they'll start up, or, it turns into people pleasing. And it's just negative all around, okay? So that's why you got to know, got to have that balance. And maybe it's also negative because your future spouse could give to the wrong people, okay? They could give to people who don't deserve to be given to. Okay, but yeah, we all should just give regardless. We do it out of the heart. But your future spouse could have some trouble there with giving and receiving. They either overgive or they're over receive. There's no balance. And it's like being in the receiver, or too much in the receiver or the giver, and it doesn't really end well. It's like people would take advantage if you're the giver. And if you're the receiver, you're going to start being looked at somebody who's kind of greedy and always wanting something, always having your hand out. So something about that is, something with the giving and receiving is a negative trait of your future spouse. Something about them not having that balance or being too much in one or the other. For some, it's reciprocity. Your future spouse could have trouble with reciprocity. That's also what it could be. So your future spouse could just have trouble with, like I said, it's that balance there. But let's say in terms of relationships even, or when it comes to anything, your future spouse can have trouble with showing up to people the way they show up to them. So if somebody's like giving your, if somebody's giving 100% to the relationship, your future spouse is not giving 100%. They may give 50. Okay, some about your future spouse has trouble with reciprocity. Like if you are doing a lot for your person, they may not end up doing a lot for you. They're gonna do they're not gonna put in. Just know your future spouse negative trait is reciprocity, not putting in the same amount of effort as you put in. Okay, or half-assing things, or it's just the amount, the things that you could even give to the relationship, the amount of time, energy, money, resources you spend or put into the relationship, they're not giving that same in return. Okay, so there's your sweet spouse, they don't know how to give to others like people give to them. Okay, not giving people the equal amount of treatment that people give them. Okay, they don't reciprocate the same love, again, time, energy, money, resources that people give to them. Okay, negative traits of Scorpio's future spouse. Yeah, I really feel like your future spouse has trouble with communication. Okay, they could keep everything inside. They don't know how to communicate. They could try to communicate over phone, which is very kind of impersonal. They could try to use the phone as a way to communicate, like hide behind communication is what I'm trying to say. They just try to hide from communicating as much as possible or addressing things because they either gonna hold it in, or they're secretive, or they just don't know how to communicate. Okay, something like that. Negative traits of Scorpio's future spouse. What are some negative traits of Scorpio's future spouse? I do feel like, Scorpio, your future spouse could be somebody who kind of, like I said, they put money. Yeah, back to them putting money on a pedestal. I really do feel like your future spouse negative trait could be that they could love people with money and material, right? So your future spouse negative trait is to kind of like give money and things to men situations, or this is like even in terms of your relationship, they may try to shut you up with money and gifts and things, but can't really be there emotionally. So that's going to be a negative trait, your future spouse. Like they just kind of pay you off is what I'm getting with this Ace of Pentacles here. They'll kind of just like pay you off, give you something to get you out their face, but they don't really know how to like give you that love that maybe you could be looking for. Like maybe you want more communication, you want them to be there for you more like emotionally, you want to talk to them more, you want them to be there for you more. But some about your future spouse, they only know how to kind of love you in an act of service way, which is giving you money, gifts, and things like that, but not really giving you their time, their emotions, their heart. Okay, and that's a negative trait of theirs. Okay, because they could literally, like I said, they could literally just kind of pay you off, as a way to, maybe it's just as simple as, people like to say that they are good partners and they are good for their person, but sometimes they're not, because they're not loving them in their love language. And that's what I'm getting. Your future spouse may not love you in your love language, and that's a negative trait. There's like, they can even know what your love language is, or even if they don't ask. Okay, and that's what makes it negative. Like they don't love you in your love language, they don't really care to ask, or they don't know how to ask how you like to be loved. So they just kind of love you in the way that they think they should love you, which is giving you money and gifts and material possessions. But really, you could value something totally outside of that. Okay, and that's what makes it negative. Like if you are okay with that, Scorpio, then you take it how it resonates. But I'm getting though, some of you guys, you don't want to be loved that way. You want to be loved in a total different way. But this person is going to just kind of throw money, throw gifts at you to kind of get you out the way, to, as a way to think that they have it all together, that they are taking care of you, that you are happy. But no, that's a negative trait of theirs, because they don't realize that they're not realizing that they're not loving you the way that you want to be loved, or they're not realizing that's not really where you hold a lot of value at. You want something deeper, okay? You want that emotional connection, you know, or you just want both. But it's something about them only knowing how to just throw money and material things at you as a way to, you know, say that they are your man and they're doing their part or something. But really, no. So they may not love you in your love language. They may use money and gifts to kind of lure you in, or to shut you up, or to kind of keep you, you know, there to stay, or keep you, you know, thinking that everything is good, okay? But simple fact, they're not going to be loving you in your love language where you like to be loved, okay? And it may take work or whatever, you know, that does take time for somebody to learn. But that's the thing, it could be a negative trait because they don't try to learn it. They don't know how to learn how you like to be loved. They just kind of love you the way they think you like to be loved, or the way they think you should be loved, and that's just not how it works, okay? So that is going to be a negative trait of theirs as well too. Okay, so let's get up who your future spouse is. Who is Scorpio's future spouse? What is Scorpio's future spouse's zodiac? So your future spouse is a Gemini, Libra, a Sag, a Capricorn, Leo, okay? Heavy on like fire and air, okay? Could be in their big three, okay? As well, your future spouse could also be born on the 20th, the 2nd, the 8th, the 1st, the 10th. Heavy on them being born on the 8th, the 19th, and heavy on the 2nd, okay? So that's what I'm getting for Scorpio. I hope you guys enjoyed this reading, and I will see y'all in the next one.